Today we're going to be going over our 7.3 balanced assembly kit. So there's three main components to the kit. You've got your bearings, you've got your compressor wheel, and your turbine wheels. Now it does come with a complete rebuild kit, but we're just going over the main upgraded components of the kit. So when we start with the bearing, the biggest difference is going to be your thrust bearing. The factory is a 270 thrust bearing, which means it's 270 degrees of material, or 270 degree thrust bearing, where a 360 thrust bearing is a full circle, or 360 degrees. It's more bearing surface area and it is stronger. On top of that, it's got an upgraded bearing design with better thrust pads, better oiling, and a better drain through the bottom of it. So this isn't upgraded, but I did want to show that these two pieces are essentially the same thing. It's just for the 270 it's a one piece, and the 360 it's a two piece. And the reason being is for the 360 thrust bearing, you got to stick some of it through one side and some of it through the other, and that's how it works in the turbo. On the 270, because it's open on the bottom, you can just slide it in and out like this. Moving on to the compressor wheel, we've got the KC Turbo Gen 2 6x6 billet compressor wheel and the stock compressor wheel. This one's out of a 99-03. These are very prone to surging and having big issues. Surging, we can do another video on that, but it's too much boost at too low of an RPM, the compressor wheel can't handle it. You're riding what's called the surge line in the compressor map, and you'll hear the turbo going choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo-choo. It hurts performance, makes you struggle to get up hills, and typically happens in the lower RPMs, probably 1600 to 1900 RPMs when you're trying to make a lot of boost. Now a standard billet wheel will typically take care of that issue, but we took it a few steps further. We tested all the different wheel designs, the 4x4, the 5x5, the 7x7, the 10 and the 11 blade, and for this application we found the 6x6 to be the best overall performer. There's always give and take when you do different designs. Some spool up a little faster, some make a little bit more power, but in our testing the 6x6 was the best overall performer. Now we took that and added our own KC Turbo design to it. It's lighter, it's got a slim hub to it, it's got a lot of aero put into the design, and it's also something I don't brag about as it being lighter, because I can make heavier wheels that outperform lighter wheels, so weight is not the only determining factor to determine how well a billet wheel performs, but this wheel is lighter than stock. So our billet wheel comes in at just under 92 grams. And the factory wheel comes in at 123. So it's significantly lighter. Not only is it lighter, it is larger. So it's able to spool faster and make more power with no sacrifice of performance. And then you've got the turbine wheels. Here's the factory turbine wheel. It's a very similar design from the early 90s all the way to the end of the 7.3. Honestly, this was a decent wheel for the 90s, but 25 years later, this wheel is outdated. The aero just isn't keeping up with the modern aero and the design of it. So we designed our own turbine wheel. It's based off of one of our favorite turbos for the 7.3, which would be an S300. So it's got the same aero as an S300 turbine wheel, but it is reverse rotation and drops right into your turbo. It is larger in many ways. You'll see that we've upgraded it to be larger, but still fit into the factory housing, which I know can be confusing. If you lined them up more like this, you would see how they fit the same profile of the turbo, but it is still larger in many ways. So this performs better in the mid to top end range. You get better boost to back pressure ratios, cooler EGTs, really helps when towing and pulling hills. This one just doesn't do as well. We have found that at really low RPMs, maybe 13 to 1400 RPMs where you don't spend much time, some people with stick shifts have reported it spools a little faster, but you really shouldn't be spending any time down there anyway. So this is made for your mid to top end, 16, 1700 RPMs and above. It'll outperform the stock wheel in every way. So when you put them all together, you get better upgraded bearings. You get an upgraded compressor wheel that not only spools faster, but flows more air on the top end, and mix that with a better aero turbine wheel for more efficiency and better boost to back pressure ratios, and you have the KC Turbo Balanced Assembly Kit for the 7.3.